This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello, friends. John Solberg here, your host for the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Going to go right out of the gate and invite you after this show to head over to greenmountaingrills.com. Check out all the new Prime 2.0 grills and all the cool stuff they got going on there. And since there's a lot of layers to this onion coming up, I'm going to jump right into this show right now.
I don't know if you're familiar with this, I think he's called the Cowboy Chuck Wagon Cook. Kent Rollins. Does anybody know Kent Rollins? I wasn't necessarily familiar with him. And my jeweler, barbecue jeweler to the stars, by the way, Stephen DeFranco. Special mention to Stephen. But he's been on my ass recently saying, hey, are you familiar with this Kent Rollins? Do you watch this Kent Rollins on YouTube? I think Steve must have found YouTube recently. Because Steve is, by the way, not through my promoting, a huge fan of Sam the Cooking Guy. In fact, a few months ago, I was meeting with Steve and we were talking about live fire items and cooking and whatnot. And he said, hey, I watched this show on YouTube. It's called Sam the Cooking Guy. Are you familiar with it? And I said, what? And he said, yes, Sam the Cooking Guy. And I said, well, am I familiar with it? Like, does he show up on my show once a month? Get that big stuff out of here. Yes, I'm familiar. And that brought a whole new level of, wow, you have Sam on your show and blah, blah, blah. Well, I said, yes, indeed I do. He's like, well, I just love his video. But you got to check out this Kent Rollins. He's the Chuck Wagon Cook. And I said, okay, I'll get right on that. And then showed up a handful of weeks later doing some more business. And did you get on with that? How'd you get on with that Kent Rollins? I said, I haven't heard back from him. Well, meanwhile, I hadn't reached out to him, but I forgot. So this time I made a run of it. So I went on to the Kent Rollins website and it was a contact page. I filled out the field. I thought I made a pretty good pitch. Said, hey, I host the most popular barbecue and grilling podcast verified on the face of the earth. And, you know, things like this. With my jeweler, Stephen DeFranco, barbecue jeweler to the stars, raves about Kent. Said I should be booking him so we can talk about Chuck Wagon cooking or whatever. And said would love to book a date on some upcoming Tuesday. Let me know if you're interested. And I get an email back overnight. It says, hey, Greg, check out this page. And he sends me a link. And here's this link. And the link is this whole page of how to contact Kent for an interview. Pitch yourself. Be interesting. Provide statistics. Tell us what you want to talk to Kent about. Tell us why Kent should be a guest on your show. This whole thing. We get dozens of requests for Kent to be a guest on podcasts and TV shows and radio shows per week. All right? Affectionately signed, Skeeter. Get that big stuff out of here. Well, I thought I made a pretty good pitch, Skeeter. But evidently, I'm not rating. Okay? He doesn't know in my signature that says #1 most downloaded live fire barbecue podcast. He can't put 2 and 2 together. He can't meet that bridge. And certainly, I've said it before when people pitch themselves to be on the show. Don't just tell me book me on the show. Like, Tell me why. But that's not what I'm doing here. I'm giving this guy audience. I'm potentially giving this guy audience. I'm potentially allowing him to use my platform for his promotion. This isn't me asking me to be a guest on Kent Rollins' show. So don't tell me how to pitch. I make my living pitching. By the way, Kent, you don't even have your own email address. It's Kent and Irma or Kent and Kelly, whatever the hell. Get your own email address, number one. Number two, nothing screams professionalism like having somebody read and reply back to your emails with the name Skeeter. Reeks of professionalism. I can't begin to stop the list of professional names that are Skeeter. Presidents of countries are named Skeeter. Captains of industry are named Skeeter. I can't name somebody that's successful that isn't named Skeeter. So if you're going to run back at me, telling me I need to recraft my pitch about your boss being on my show, I think I can do without the Chuck Wagon Cook on this show, everybody. Okay? Sam, are you even familiar with the Chuck Wagon Cook, Kent Rollins?
Absolutely.
You are?
Why wouldn't I be? I'm generally aware of.
I didn't know anything about him until Stephen DeFranco was like, you need to book this guy. And then Skeeter wrote me back and said that my pitch wasn't good enough. Skeeter did.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Skeeter. You know Skeeter, right?
I say it's too bad because he seems, honestly, I was going to say he seems like a really nice guy. He's like super deep country. I don't know where he's from, but
somewhere in the plains, I bet, because he Chuck Wagon cooked.
If Spielberg was casting a part for a super country cowboy Chuck Wagon Cook,
yeah,
this guy would get the job just walking in the door and just saying howdy or hello or hey y'all kind of thing.
And he has people named Skeeter working for him, filtering out the email, sending me back a link that says, here, check out this page on how to pitch.
It's funny, he's got this appearance that he would just be a good old boy.
Yeah.
Just cooking ribs out here on my old smoker, and there's my dog chewing on my leg, and yet he's got a whole bunch of people in the background working on his behalf. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Skeeter is a name of somebody that you would think would live in the next town over.
Yes.
In a shed or something.
He has layers of insulation. I do not.
He has the balls. You are not. Skeeter has the balls to say the pitch wasn't good enough.
Yes.
For the number one downloaded
to the number one most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show.
And it doesn't get any more qualified than when David Lee says that you're the number one show. Like that solidifies.
Maybe he's
it.
never heard of Steven Reichlin.
I don't know. I can only imagine. I can only imagine that, Kent Rollins must have just gotten into the live fire industry. That's all I can deduce. Or Skeeter must have.
He's got a decent audience. What's the size of his audience?
I don't know. I think I have roughly 7,000. Here.
No, him.
Skeeter?
No, not Skeeter.
Kent Rollins. Okay, let's do this real quick. Kent Rollins. I'm just going to look up the Twitter right now. Kent Rollins has 6,736 followers on Instagrams. Okay, or I'm sorry,
go to the YouTube.
On Twitter. On Twitter?
Go to YouTube.
No, Greg Rempe, 9,500. So don't ask me to provide my stats when I'm double your stats.
I'm not asking you to provide. Is Skeeter asking you to provide
Skeeter.
Your stats?
Yes, of course.
What did Skeeter say? Read his exact response.
No. Now I got to try and dig it up.
I like Kent Rollins.
All right. You don't have to not like him. Like I'm saying, it was Skeeter. Skeeter has recommended. Skeeter has email access to Kent and Shannon Rollins. So Kent doesn't even have his own email address. It's Kent and Shannon Rollins. That's neither here nor there.
They may not have electricity.
Yeah.
Skeeter may need to drive out there and stand at the end of the...
he's got something. He's replying on a computer. Here's one of the replies back. Thanks, Greg. Your reply was missing a lot of information that was requested when pitching. When you mentioned that your jeweler is a big fan, that doesn't give me much information about what would be about what would be valuable for the podcast. What is it about Kent that you find interesting and of value to the show? Social following stats were also not included. We need those details. We receive a lot of requests, so we like to be as thorough as possible. Guess what? Skeeter's a liar. They don't get a lot of requests. I guarantee.
I don't get any requests.
Yeah, I mean, you got probably 7 million more followers on YouTube than Kent Rollins has.
No, go take a look at his YouTube. I think he's got a good audience.
All right. Well, I mean, as someone who has a good audience, you would know. So I'm going to tell you here in 1 second. Kent Rollins.
I seem to remember.
Here we go.
Kent Rollins.
What are those suggestions? Well, Kent Rollins has 1.58 million YouTube subscribers.
So I told you.
Yeah. Well, so you know him because he's got audience, is what you're saying. Here's this guy. Here's Kent Rollins right here. There he is. You're right. He does look like the Chuck.
I'm telling you, it's the prodigal. Casting.
The prodigal. Oh, that's right. He was on that Chopped Live Fire. Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm. That was the one that the grill girl was on, and they kicked her out on the first one because she undercooked oysters, I believe it was. Those are tough to cook, I think.
That's a unforgivable mistake.
Yeah. Well, look, I have more Twitter followers than he does, and you have more YouTube subscribers than he does. So we're both winning at life. And Kent has a screener named Skeeter that tells me to go pound salt. Unbelievable.
No, he wouldn't have said it. Would have been pound dirt.
Yeah,
that's
dirt. Go piss up a flagpole, y'all.
Is he in Oklahoma?
Sure. Why not?
Max and I have talked about Kent Rollins before and said it'd be fun to do like some collaboration with him.
You know, that brings me to my next topic, by the way.
Go ahead.
When did you become such an onion bully?
And until next time, on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg, and I do look forward to talking to you again soon.